So this interview is with Hannah Martin, who, if you don't know, was a rhythmic gymnast until the age of 16, won over 22 national titles and also competed at the Commonwealth Games, and then went on to be on the BBC dance competition The Greatest Dancer, where she was a semi-finalist, and then went on to focus on ballet and is now working as part of the Birmingham Royal Ballet. And alongside all of this, as if this wasn't enough, she also does content creation. She has over 126,000 subscribers on YouTube. She also runs an academy where she shares different lessons that she's learned, and she's been through so much in her career. She's had surgeries, she's learned from sports psychologists, which we talk about in this interview. She's got a degree. Like, there's so much that this girl's done that it's actually crazy, and I feel like it was so interesting to be able to have the opportunity to talk to her because her work ethic is so impressive. Everything that she's achieved is so impressive. So to be able to learn about the physical and mental side that goes along with the career that she's had was really interesting. So here's the interview. So before we talk about your ballet, I'd like to ask you about your rhythmic gymnastics, because you got over 22 national titles and you went to the Commonwealth Games. So obviously that would have had an impact being at such a high competitive level. So how do you feel like that shaped you going into ballet?
Yeah, it was, you know what, the transition from rhythmic gymnastics to ballet was certainly not an easy one. But I loved my time as a gymnast. I mean, there was certainly difficult moments like there is with anything, and elite sport is one of those things that's really challenging. But I think it shaped my mentality of I really learned that how the work you put in, you can see like results. When I was younger, I think it was around 11 when I decided, okay, I'm going to take this thing full whammy. I'm going to go full out with this, with feeling. And at the time when I was 11, I was literally not winning any competitions, coming last. Like, these were amateur competitions. These were not big competitions. It wasn't like I had all this like amazing talent and I hit the scene and everyone was like, wow, you're going to be amazing. I feel like a lot of people think that's the story. It's like, oh wow, she was just like naturally talented. No, I was like one of the worst. Wasn't picked really for things. But I just decided, okay, I have this dream. I want to go to the British Championships, and I'm just going to work my absolute hardest until I get there. And there was no guarantees of that, but I was like, I'm going to do everything I can every single day. And what was crazy was like from going from last place in some of these competitions, I suddenly not only did I qualify for the British Championships, I actually ended up winning it that year, which was just like a complete reversal of everything. So I think rhythm gymnastics taught me that the hard work you put in pays off, even if like the people around you are saying it's not possible, even if your circumstances are saying it's not possible, even if you don't have the right resources, or what people think you need to get ahead, kind of just putting your blinkers on, like not listening to the noise and just deciding that you can do it. So I think that's what rhythm gymnastics really taught me, which I definitely needed going into like more vocational training at a much older age than most people. So yeah, I think that's definitely what I brought from my rhythmic gymnastics career, and also a ton of incredible memories, tons of traveling, Australia, Belarus, Serbia, where else did we go? All sorts of places. Hungary, Portugal. So yeah, it was, yeah, I learned so much, and I'm still carrying a lot of that with me.
That's so wild. Like, you've done so much at such a young age. And also, some of the high level stuff you've done is the BBC's The Greatest Dancer, which I wanted to ask you about as well, semi finalist. So, how is TV dance different to theatre?
That's a really interesting question. And it's funny because I remember kind of going to the audition. I wasn't really sure if I even wanted to audition for the show. To be honest, I was like going and just being, oh, you know what? Like, we'll just see what happens. It's an opportunity. Let's jump in. And I arrived there and I was like, okay, this is really different, like very different. You have all the cameras and the front of house stuff, which looks all glam, but on the other end, it's like, you're walking through like cement corridors and stuff. So it's like, wow, it really is the TV world. It's like really what people say about it. It's like, oh wow, it's really real. But I really did enjoy my time. It felt like living on a movie set for about 5 weeks. We would do the shows, the live shows. When I got through to the live shows, we would do the live shows on the Saturday. Then, if you got through, you would do the rehearsals on the stage on the Sunday. Then we'd leave, we'd go home and have a day or two of filming. So the film crew would come with us and follow us around, and like we'd either do something, I would do something with Matthew Morrison, who was my dance captain, or they'd come and like interview my family or something. And during that time, I'd probably be like scraping together the routine ready for the following weekend. Then we'd arrive on Thursday, back at the venue and start putting it on stage. So it was a bit of a whirlwind, to be honest. I remember getting to the end of it, like near the end, because I got through to the semi-finals, and I was like, man, I'm loving this, but I am so exhausted. Also you're getting all this press attention and media attention, and everyone's got all their opinions about whether you did good or not, and that was a whole new thing for me as well. I think I'm used to like battling, or as I said already, like opinions that people may not think I'm any good, and that's everyone's entitled to their opinion. That's absolutely fine. But when that's all being posted online, I did have to like try and be like, okay, you're looking at the one negative comment and not the 100 that is like saying that they really enjoyed it. So I think that taught me a lot. But yeah, it was very fast and furious, which was fun. But for me as an artist, I think I do like a little bit more time to like develop and mature something and make something really, I really want to make something meaningful, which in TV, some TV is, they did this show very well, but I feel like there's often you can't really get the full punchy story through in a minute and a half on a TV show. So that's something I was like, okay, would I want to go into this? Maybe presenting is something that I've definitely thought about, and think I might enjoy one day. A like dream would be to judge on Strictly Come Dancing. That is a dream of mine.
Oh.
Anyway, side note that would be like a dream. I'd always wanted to go on Strictly Come Dancing, but I don't think you can really go on Strictly Come Dancing as a professional ballet dancer.
I
So
think you can. Amber Davis went on it.
that's true. That's true. So, Strictly, if you're listening, call me up. But yeah. So anyway, sidetracking. Enjoyed it, loved the experience, but I also crave that kind of longer term grafting that comes from maybe more like the professional ballet world that I'm in now.
Were you choreographing the routines as well? But
Yeah, yeah. It was I choreographed all my routines for that. I had some different like influences and help that put some finishing touches on there. But yeah, it was choreographed by me, which was another fun challenge because I enjoy choreographing, so it was a great kind of platform for that. But again, I had just come out of the rhythmic gymnastics world, so my repertoire of and movement vocabulary wasn't as established as maybe it is now. So if I could go back, I'd probably change quite a few things. But, maybe there'll be another opportunity in the future. We'll see.
yeah, and you made it to the semi-final, so it was still very, very good. Um, and then in the ballet, something that I've always wondered about, because you're now a member of the Birmingham Royal Ballet Company, how's the casting process work? Because you audition to get into these companies, but then lots of different people, if people don't know, lots of different people play these different roles, but how's that work?
Yeah, it's different for different productions. For example, if we're doing a new creation or a contemporary piece, sometimes they'll get the choreographer or the person setting it to come in. We'll all do like a casting workshop and they'll take a look at us and see who's most suited to the role. I think that's really great because it gives the whole company an opportunity to kind of see if they enjoy the movement, see if it vibes with them. And then the other times, like for our classical productions, often we just get sent through a casting. It will be done by our directors, so they like see what would fit certain people. They know us quite well by this point, especially if you've been in the company for a while and they know what roles would maybe suit you better. So we just get sent a casting through. Obviously, we all hope and dream for different things, and as you work longer in a company, you get to try, more new roles, more exciting roles. Often you start in a company, you start doing like the smaller roles, less responsibility, less stress while you learn the ropes, a lot of quarter ballet work. And then as you progress, as you keep working hard, then you get given a little bit more responsibility in the shows, because you're able to handle the pressure and everything. So yeah, it's like a with the classical works, it's like a more of a slow climb with the roles that you get given, and then with the contemporary works, it's sometimes just like what if it suits you, then you might get like a really nice role. Yeah.
That's really cool, really interesting. And also, your company classes you have, I'm aware there's so many people in the company. So how do you work towards getting the most out of those?
Yeah, I think after being a student where you're kind of spoon fed a little bit more by your teachers, you're constantly getting feedback, constantly getting told what you can improve, what you can push, what you need to work on, and then going into a professional company life where often you don't get told anything. You're just, your class is your warm up in the mornings. Obviously, we have great teachers here at BRB, and they do give us little bits and bobs that we're working on. But it's, you're not spoon fed. It's, you're in a professional ballet company. That transition can be hard, and I definitely was like, whoa, like this is very different. But I think as a professional, you start to learn what you need, and you're like what you need out of a ballet class. So when I go into class, I don't ever really want to go in there feeling like, well, I'm just going through the motions today. Sometimes, if you've got a double show day, yeah, you're just going in to warm up, get your body prepared, make sure you stay injury free. So do exactly what you need to stay injury free for that day. But on rehearsal days, I'm in there and I'm thinking, how can I improve my technique? What do I need to be thinking about? I know the things I need to work on, and so I'm there in class, even if that no one needs to say it. I'm like, okay, where am I feeling the turnout? I need to pull up more. Where's my abdominal muscles? And I'm working on this arabesque line, or I'm working on my turns. So being very intentional, I feel like you have to be a bit more intentional when you become a professional on knowing your areas of where you need to work, because no one's necessarily going to tell you. But it's the classwork. There's nowhere to hide. You can see where the technique is, which is you can either see as an opportunity to improve or an opportunity to back away. And I'm definitely one who kind of just goes straight towards like, okay, if there's an opportunity to improve, let's go right towards it.
Yeah, I think that's what I've seen like from seeing you around and also like researching you. You have such a great work ethic about you, which is really nice to see. And moving from the rhythmic gymnastics to the ballet, I saw you mention somewhere that the etiquette of a ballet company was something that you had to learn. So I was wondering what kind of things, because I feel like a ballet company has a certain vibe and it's difficult to know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the sports world and the ballet world are very different, and the way that you operate within them is very different. And I think, like, for example, in classwork, you're learning brand new exercises every single day. That was not something I had to do in rhythmic gymnastics. We do the same routines for like a whole year. Whereas in ballet, you're learning new routines or combinations every single day, every single class, every single rehearsal. You're usually learning something new, which activates like a different part in your brain. And that, for me, when I joined the ballet company, wasn't maybe as developed as some people who have been maybe doing that their whole entire lives. So that was, I mean, that's not ballet class etiquette, but that was one thing I definitely had to adjust to. Also, like, where you stand at the bar, like everyone's got their comfortable spots, and you want to make sure that you don't kind of stand in someone's spot. That's quite a normal thing in ballet companies, which I was like, oh wow, okay, so we don't just take space. Okay, cool. Had to learn that. And spatial awareness, big one in class, being spatially aware. Coming from rhythmic gymnastics, where I did a lot, it was an individual sport, so I did a lot on my own. I did do group work only twice. I didn't have time for it in the end with my individual apparatus, but spatial awareness was not a skill I had particularly developed. And in ballet class, especially if it gets crowded, you have to be so spatially aware. You don't want to whack your neighbor, right? So not only do you need to learn the combinations, know where to stand and where not to stand, but you also need to be spatially aware so that you don't injure someone else next to you. So there was a lot to kind of get to grips with very early on. And I learnt quickly, trust me, I learnt quickly. Still sometimes need to work on the spatial awareness, but I feel like the quarter ballet work that I do at the company has whipped me right into shape more with that. But it's a constant, again, everything is a constant learning process.
Yeah, because I feel like it's quite intense because like you travel around with this company and like it's physically intense. Like there's a lot of pressures, do you think, that go along with this career?
Yeah, it's definitely a high pressure environment. But I think, will professionals and you learn how to deal with it. Everyone learns how to deal with it in the end. And everyone deals with that in a slightly different way. And I think you also learn like, okay, oh, okay, that person deals with stress in that way, and this person deals with stress in that way. Um, and also, I think I'm a very serious person. I think taking myself a little bit less seriously has been a good thing. A lot of ballet dancers are perfectionists. I'm definitely a perfectionist, but just knowing how to harness that so it helps me and doesn't become self-destructive. I actually did a dissertation on that for my bachelor's degree about perfectionism, because I just think it's such an interesting subject of like, okay, perfectionism means that you're like looking at things to improve them, to constantly get better, because you want to get closer and closer to perfection, which is really an unattainable goal. Which as ballet dancers we need to be pushing towards perfection, or there isn't anything such as perfection, but pushing to get better all the time. Otherwise, our technique goes down and we don't reach that level of excellence we need to. So I think getting the balance of that in my life has been something that I have definitely had to work on, and still am working on.
That's interesting. I didn't know you had a degree either. What is
Yeah. Yeah, so I got my diploma at Elmhurst, my level 6 diploma, and then a couple of years later decided to top that up to a degree. So you had the option to top it up to a degree. So I did like a long distance year program and topped up my diploma to a degree, which I did a degree in performing arts.
wow.
And yeah, and that was my dissertation for it, which was really, really interesting. And I actually got to interview some of my colleagues around perfectionism as well. And it was just really eye opening how everyone is somewhere on the scale of perfectionism, because I made them do a perfectionism test. But the way that they respond to their elements of perfectionism was totally different, which I think, yeah, just speaks to everyone processes what is going on in a ballet company completely differently. Which, yeah, again, very insightful. And as I said for like the fifth time, is like constantly learning. I'm constantly learning from the other people around me, constantly learning. Um, okay, that thing worked for them. Maybe I should try that. And I might try it and be like, actually, no, that might work for them, but it really doesn't work for me. But that's like, I think, part of the exciting part of life is like meeting people, trying new things, and seeing what comes of it.
And I know that also you did ballet syllabus work is where you started out. I could be wrong, but I think you started out with ballet syllabus work and then you moved on to doing the more performing element and show. So I was wondering how you approached bringing in more of that kind of acting element rather than just the technique into the shows.
100%, yeah. So I started with RAD grades. I did those grades actually, funny enough, when I was doing rhythmic gymnastics. So I'd go once a week to the Royal Academy of Dance when I was younger, and I did my grades, my vocational, my intermediate and advanced and stuff, for those people who know the RAD grades. I don't know, performance is always where I thrived. So there's never really been a problem too much with performance. Controlling performance nerves, yes, I've had to work on that. I've had sports psychologists when I was a gymnast, and I worked on tools like visualization and stuff like that. So I had to work on my psychology quite a lot, but the performance side was never an issue. I just loved being out there and being myself on stage. So funny enough, the performance aspect wasn't an issue. The technique has always been something I've had to work and work and work on, like everyone. But for me, like, I wouldn't say I'm naturally turned out. I wouldn't say I have the perfect feet for ballet. I wouldn't say I have maybe the most natural sense of turn. Like all the things that you kind of need, I was like, I have flexibility, but I actually have too much flexibility that it's actually not great for the line. So at this point, I've just got my performance. So we're going to work on the technique is really what I had to work on a lot, and still am. It's a constant, you never stop working on your technique, which is part of the reason I love it and part of the reason I hate ballet. Both, it's like the thing that I love and hate about it. Yeah.
What did this sports psychologist teach you? What kind of tools do you have then?
Yeah, so the most successful one for me was visualization. So when I was a gymnast and I would get nervous for routines and I'd go on and I would just have very like intrusive thoughts when I was on stage. I'd like throw it and it would be like, oh, you're going to drop this. And it's like, well, that's not great, is it? Like she used to say, don't think of a white polar bear. And then she'd be like, what did you just think of? And it's like, you just had an image of a white polar bear in your mind. And so when you say, don't drop this, it's like, what did you just visualize? You just visualized yourself dropping it. So we developed, like, she made me listen to the music of my routines and visualize in my mind the whole routine going perfectly. And when I tell you, it took me like about 10 attempts to actually visualize it going well, because I would like visualize it. And when I would get nervous, I could just literally see myself dropping something or falling out of a pirouette. And then we'd restart. We'd like, okay, we're going to do it again. It's funny because I'm like, if I can't even see it going well in my mind, how on earth am I going to be able to do it with my body? Like it's sent, your brain is so powerful. It sends signals to the rest of your system. So if you can't visualize it, you're literally setting yourself up for failure. So that was something that was really helpful. And another thing for the intrusive thoughts was having keywords in different parts of the routine to help stay the focus right where it was meant to be. So if I was like doing a throw, I'd have like a specific word for that. Maybe it would be fix, like fix the arm, instead of having these like intrusive thoughts coming into my brain of like, you're going to drop it. It's going to be just like, fix the arm, shene, 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 catch. Like having those very intentional words was also pretty helpful for me. We also attempted this nervous script, which I absolutely hated. So we would write out like a little script of the nerves that I would maybe feel. So I was in the training gym. I wasn't at the competition yet. And we'd write a script out of like, it's the day of the competition. You're feeling nervous. Your tummy is like, you got butterflies in your stomach. You're thinking about, what happens if I drop my apparatus? The competitors around you are staring at you nervously. And now you're about to go on the floor. And then, so I'd have to read the script, like kind of think about the fact that I'm about, like, as if I was going to do the competition, and then do my routines in the gym as if it was a competition. And when I tell you, they went absolutely dreadful. It was actually so embarrassing. It was like the worst because I was literally focusing on all the things that made me nervous right before I did the routine. But when we went to the competition, I then won 5 national golds. It was like one of the best competitions I ever did in my life. And I was like, wow, psychology is like a big thing. Like I don't feel like people fully appreciate the power of our mindset and the power of the psychology. So it's something I'm super passionate about. I actually made a mindset course last year about like all the ins and outs of that in my academy that I launched. So yeah.
Well, I'll link your academy below for people. And something else that I've seen that you've been working on is like quality of movement, like not just, and that's something that I never really learned until I went into more doing like a bit of performance. I'm not like a ballerina, obviously, but that's something that really shocked me about the possibilities of dance. So, what kind of things have you explored with that?
Yeah, 100%. I think before I approach dancers, very much like a gymnast, really. I'm like, well, A plus B equals C. Everything in rhythmic gymnastics had a point system. So it's like, well, if I do 3 turns, I get zero point 0.6. And if I get zero point 0.6, it means that's added to my total, which means that maybe I'm potentially better than the gymnast next to me. And in art, it's not it's not the same thing. If I do 4 turns, it doesn't mean that I get into ballet school. Of course, it's a nice trick, and maybe some schools will see that and be like, "Oh, that's nice," but it's not a guarantee. Like the quality and the cleanness of your technique, the use of your port de bras, there's different stylistic qualities. Now, some people are gonna love what you do with your port de bras, even if it's if you've styled it, and other people aren't. So it's very subjective. That was a whole new thing I had to learn. But I think I'm constantly fascinated and by like some days I'm like, okay, I'm gonna dance more like adagio today. I want to dance like a little bit more within myself. And other days I'm like, oh, I'm really excited and I'm really joyful and I want to explore what my body can do in this joyful capacity. And so exploring those different movement qualities, like the light and the shade, was never something I really thought about before because I was always just like, okay, we need to fix, if we're doing a développé devant, we just need to fix the leg and we need to show the balance because in rhythmic, you basically had to fix the position for 1 second in order to get the points. And so I had to completely shift my mind of what was good and what was bad. It was like, no, it's not about just getting to the position, it's about how you get to the position. And then once you get there, how you continue to lengthen, and then how you're coming out of it, and then how you're going into the next thing. Um, so exploring that has been both a challenge but also exciting.
That's so exciting. It's so interesting. And something else I discovered through researching you is what an trigonum is. And I
Oh
was
gosh.
shocked. I was
I hate
shocked.
an ostrigonum, I tell you that. Oh my
I was like,
goodness.
what do you mean? 7% of people have an extra bone in their foot.
I actually think 30%.
Is it
I think it's
30%?
30%. Yeah.
Everything has a different statistic to it.
Oh, I know, yeah.
I'm like,
Probably ask
what?
ChatGPT. Maybe they'll know.
Um, but it's obviously not a problem for most people unless you're getting an
Constantly
insane.
irritating it, yes.
So then
With
you have to
point
have it
shoes.
removed, which
Yeah,
is
twice.
crazy.
Oh my goodness. I had one foot done and then I had to have the other foot done a couple years later. But it's a very common surgery for ballet dancers. I'm a bit squeamish, I hate needles or anything like that. So I honestly, when it first happened, I was like, I this could be the end of my career because I just don't think I can face surgery. Like that is just such a frightening prospect. But the thought of not dancing again was worse. So we
Yeah.
got on the surgery bed, we got it done. But yeah, it's basically just like an extra little bit of bone right at the back of the ankle, right where you go up on point. It pinches right in there. And eventually it gets so painful that you, not even just painful, I can deal with the pain. I mean, I don't say dancing, I'm not advocating dancing through pain. That is not what I'm saying. But like, pain is okay. It's the fact that my range of my motion in my foot just started to like recede to the point where basically I couldn't point my foot anymore. And obviously, not being able to point your foot as a ballet dancer is, yeah, it's a no go.
Mm.
So, yeah, had to get those little pesky bones removed, but now they're gone, they're gone. So praise the Lord. That's all we've sorted them out. But yeah, that was definitely a painful process.
Is it hard though to manage your expectations? Because I feel like I'm from an acting background, so like I do something and I film something and I might get cut, but like the fact that you could get injured and you could be away from the company, like managing your expectations with that, is that hard?
Yeah, no, it's injury, I would say, is one of the worst things that can ever happen to you as a dancer. You, especially because often when you get injured, you've got quite a lot of momentum going, and things are like, okay, we're moving and grooving, I can see where we're going, and then suddenly it's like, oh wow, we have to stop. And coming to the acceptance that you have to stop is takes a while. But the longer you don't accept that you need to stop, the worse often your injury gets. So you kind of hang on for dear life, and then well, you shouldn't. I've learned from that. That's what you don't do anymore. Um, but yeah, so I think it's taught me a lot. Don't want to really experience it again, but it's part of a dancer's life. It's part of we have to manage things. We have to learn how to take care of our bodies, which is something I have had to learn a lot about. But managing expectations, castings when you're coming back is difficult. It's hard to see some of the progress that you made disappear, but it does come back. It just takes time. And as dancers, I don't think we're super patient people. We don't have a super long career, so I understand. Um, but yeah, it's just about patience. And I think ultimately, taking the time, working on your technique, getting back, you can actually become a much better dancer. But it does take a lot of patience and kindness towards yourself, self compassion. Because often as a dancer, you can feel like getting injured is your fault. But often it's just like a hazard of the job.
I wanted to ask you as well about how you managed and got into doing so many different other things. Like you do poetry, you do your business, you do content creation and have like loads of followers. Like how are you balancing all of this and what drew you to like doing content about all of this dance world?
Yeah, I loved content creation from a young age. I actually did it with some toys when I was younger. I just loved filming, creating, editing, and putting content out there. So that was always something I loved to do. And I did it then from 16 after I went to the Commonwealth Games, and I just loved sharing my story and hopefully maybe inspiring just one other person to like get up and go after their dreams was really the inspiration behind that. It gives me a lot of fulfillment outside of my job. And poetry has always been a way I can express myself, express my emotions, not through movement for once, but I do think it sometimes enhances and inspires movement, so it kind of works together really nicely. But yeah, I'm very passionate about content creation and hopefully inspiring and like just making people believe that they can achieve their dreams.
Well, you've got such a big audience, so clearly it is resonating and having a good impact. Do you have anything you want to promote? Any final advice?
Yeah, I mean, well, first and foremost, dream big and make it happen. That's the motto. That's what I live my life by. And I do have the Make It Happen Academy. So if anyone is interested in kind of going on that journey and getting help along on that journey, because I know what it's like not to have help, but you get guidance. There's courses on there, and you also have access to me where I can help you and like we have this beautiful community where you can post your questions and I can help you on there. So if people are interested in joining that or just want to know more, they can email me at hannahmartinrg@gmail.com. We can see if the academy is a good fit for you. So yeah, I'm honestly so proud of the academy members we currently have on there. It's just a really, really inspiring atmosphere, and it's so rewarding seeing people achieve their dreams.
That sounds so nice. And put all that details down below. And thank you so much. It's been so great to talk to you.
Thank you so much for having me.
So thanks again to Hannah for taking the time to do this, because I think what really shines through is the fact that as well as her being such an incredible dancer, she's also so smart and so articulate. So it was really nice to be able to have the opportunity to sit down for half an hour and to be able to talk to her about her career and about all of these different things that she's achieved and her mindset, which is so interesting to hear about. So I will link to everything to do with Hannah and her work down below. So make sure to go check that out and follow along to see where she goes in her career, because I think she's achieved so much and she's only 23. Like, it's insane. And thank you so much to everyone for watching. Please subscribe and stay tuned for more interviews, hopefully coming very soon.